Hello and welcome to InsightBase, where we uncover the hidden truths about aging and healthy living. Today's topic: 12 ugly things seniors do as they age that no one tells you. Sounds harsh, right? But before you dismiss it, hear me out. Have you ever stopped to consider the vast spectrum of experiences within the senior population? Some individuals, as they navigate their later years, seem to emanate an almost palpable sense of joy and approachability, drawing others in with their warmth and positive energy. In stark contrast, others appear to be caught in cycles of behavior that, perhaps unintentionally, create distance and ultimately push people away. The aging process, a complex and multifaceted journey, can sometimes lead to the development of habits that, while perhaps not malicious in intent, can significantly damage the intricate web of our relationships. These habits, sometimes subtle and almost imperceptible, and at other times glaringly obvious, can unknowingly contribute to a sense of isolation, depriving us of the very love, connection, and companionship that we crave as human beings. It's crucial to understand that these are not simply unavoidable quirks or eccentricities that come with getting older. Rather, they represent ingrained behaviors that, if allowed to persist and remain unaddressed, can contribute to an existence that feels unnecessarily lonely, challenging, and devoid of meaningful interaction. Before we dive in, if you're interested in unlocking the secrets to aging well, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to InsightBase, and hit that notification bell. Your support keeps us motivated to bring you eye-opening health insights every week. Now, let's get started. Number 1 on the list might make you rethink your daily routine. 1. Negativity and complaining. Let's talk about Sarah. She was 72 years old and fortunate to have a family that loved her dearly. However, Sarah was puzzled and a little hurt by the fact that her family members didn't visit her as often as she wished they would. She couldn't quite understand why their visits became less frequent over time. The underlying truth, though perhaps uncomfortable to acknowledge, was that every conversation with Sarah felt like being caught in the middle of a brewing storm. Her interactions were often dominated by negativity and pessimism, casting a shadow over what should have been pleasant visits. She would endlessly complain about her various aches and pains, launch into lengthy grievances about the state of the government, and go on nostalgic rants about how things were supposedly so much better back in the day. The simple reality is that negativity acts as a powerful repellent. It has the unfortunate effect of draining precious energy from those around you, sucking the joy out of their experiences. It can ultimately leave even the most loving and devoted family members feeling emotionally helpless, completely exhausted, and possibly even a little defeated after spending time with a consistently negative person. Instead of focusing on the negative, actively practice gratitude in your daily life. Make a conscious effort to identify and appreciate the good things, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant they may be. Challenge yourself to replace complaints with genuine curiosity. Ask questions about others, showing a sincere interest in their lives and experiences. Actively seek out and find joy in the small, everyday moments that often go unnoticed. Cultivating a warm and positive presence is always welcomed and appreciated by others, making you a more enjoyable and sought-after companion. People are naturally drawn to positivity and light. 2. Neglecting personal hygiene. As we age, maintaining personal hygiene can sometimes feel less important and more like a tedious task. However, consistently neglecting self-care can unfortunately lead to negative social repercussions. Consider the case of Sarah, for example. As time went on, she gradually reduced the frequency with which she brushed her hair. She also started wearing the same articles of clothing for several days at a time without changing. Furthermore, she began to disregard her dental hygiene, allowing it to progressively decline. These changes did not go unnoticed by those around her. Even if people refrained from explicitly mentioning her declining hygiene, they certainly observed it. The impact of such neglect can be subtle but pervasive. Making a conscious effort to incorporate small, manageable steps into your routine can make a significant difference. Whether it involves getting a fresh and stylish haircut, applying a touch of pleasant perfume, or consistently wearing clean, well-maintained clothing, these actions can have a positive effect. Not only do they enhance the perception others have of you, but they also profoundly influence your own self-image and confidence. The simple act of looking good can directly translate into feeling good, boosting your overall mood and well-being. Prioritizing personal hygiene is an investment in both your social life and your personal happiness. 3. Embrace, don't fight, change. Life is a constant flow, an ever-changing river. One of the most significant challenges we face is adapting to this continuous evolution. Change, while sometimes uncomfortable, is an inevitable part of the human experience. Resisting it, however, can often lead to unforeseen difficulties and complications in various aspects of our lives. From the emergence of innovative technologies to the shifting landscapes of social norms and the remarkable progress in medical science, we are constantly bombarded with new developments that can feel overwhelming. These changes can present us with situations that push us outside of our comfort zones and require us to learn new skills or adopt different perspectives. While it is understandable to feel hesitant or even apprehensive about embracing these changes, completely and utterly rejecting them can have isolating consequences. Shutting ourselves off from new ideas and ways of doing things can create a barrier between us and the rest of the world. We risk becoming disconnected from the people we care about and missing out on opportunities for growth and enrichment. Consider the example of Sarah. Sarah found herself unwilling to embrace the digital age. She stubbornly refused to learn how to send text messages or engage in video calls, dismissing them as unnecessary complications. Consequently, she found herself increasingly distanced from her grandchildren, who were constantly communicating through these digital channels. Her rigid refusal to adapt to the modern means of communication made it significantly more difficult for her to maintain regular contact and nurture her relationships with them. This ultimately hindered her ability to participate fully in their lives and share in their experiences. Being open to learning new things, even if it's just taking small steps and making a modest effort, can greatly improve your relationships, broaden your horizons, and help you remain connected to the ever-evolving world around you. A willingness to adapt allows you to bridge gaps, engage with new ideas, and stay present in the lives of those you cherish. Embrace change with a curious mind and a willingness to learn, and you'll find yourself navigating life's journey with greater ease and fulfillment. 4. Hoarding and clutter. Sarah's home presented a clear picture of accumulated possessions. Every room seemed to house stacks of old magazines, clothes that had long since fallen out of style and hadn't been worn in decades, and a seemingly endless collection of things, each supposedly carrying significant memories from days gone by. However, instead of providing a sense of comfort or nostalgia, this overwhelming accumulation of clutter had a decidedly negative impact on Sarah's well-being. It was a source of constant stress and anxiety rather than a comforting reminder of her past. Hoarding behaviors can often be a telltale sign of underlying and deeper emotional struggles that an individual may be facing. It could point towards an excessively strong attachment to past experiences and memories, or perhaps a pervasive fear of letting go of anything, regardless of its current usefulness or relevance. While holding on to cherished memories is understandable, allowing clutter to take over living spaces can have a suffocating effect, making it difficult to navigate and fully utilize the home. Furthermore, such an environment can create significant stress and tension for other family members who share the space. The key to decluttering lies in understanding that it isn't about erasing history or discarding valuable memories. Instead, it's about strategically organizing and simplifying one's surroundings in order to make room for peace of mind, greater clarity, and a more harmonious living environment for everyone involved. It is about creating space, both physical and mental, for a more positive and fulfilling present and future. 5. Impatience and the path to patience. As we navigate the journey of life, the sands of time can sometimes erode our patience. The simple act of aging can bring with it a diminished tolerance for life's daily inconveniences. Things that once seemed trivial, a slow-moving line at the grocery store, the exuberance of noisy children playing, or the overwhelming feeling that the world is spinning at an ever-accelerating pace, can become significant sources of frustration and irritation. This can lead to a feeling of being overwhelmed and disconnected from the present moment. Sarah was a prime example of this phenomenon. She began to notice an unsettling pattern in her behavior. All too often, she found herself being unnecessarily rude to the unsuspecting store clerks who were simply doing their jobs. She was quick to judge and criticize young people, finding fault in their actions and attitudes. Even the smallest, Most insignificant problems seemed to trigger an outsized reaction of annoyance and frustration. The weight of these accumulated irritations began to take its toll. However, Sarah realized that patience isn't an inherent trait, it's a conscious choice, a muscle that can be strengthened through deliberate practice. She understood that she had the power to alter her reactions and reshape her perspective. By taking a moment to pause and breathe deeply, by consciously choosing to respond with kindness rather than irritation, and by learning to ignore or minimize minor annoyances, she believed that her daily life could become significantly more enjoyable and peaceful. This was her conscious decision to take control of her reactions and overall well-being. The path to patience, however, was far from easy. Years of ingrained habits and reflexive responses made it a considerable challenge. She felt like she was battling against a lifetime of accumulated negativity. Furthermore, she was running low on spoons, as she'd heard someone online cleverly describe their daily energy reserves, the mental and emotional capacity to deal with life's demands. The temptation to snap at the teenager fumbling with her complicated coffee order was almost overwhelming on certain days, an intense urge to unleash her frustration on an innocent bystander. The temptation to glare disapprovingly at the elderly man shuffling slowly in front of her at the grocery store checkout line was a constant battle, a recurring test of her resolve. She understood that these were temptations she had to overcome to achieve peace. Despite these challenges, Sarah persevered, fueled by a desire for a more peaceful and positive existence. She started small, focusing on manageable steps that she could consistently implement. When waiting in line, she would consciously shift her focus inward, concentrating on her breathing. She began by counting slowly to 10, using each breath as an anchor to the present moment. As she became more comfortable, she gradually increased the count to 20, then 50, extending the period of focused attention and calming her racing thoughts. In addition to focusing on her breath, she actively sought out something positive to focus on in her immediate surroundings. She might admire the cheerful floral arrangement by the checkout counter, appreciating the vibrant colors and delicate beauty of the blooms. She might observe the way the sunlight streamed through the window, casting warm and inviting patterns on the floor. She might even look for the kindness in the cashier's eyes, acknowledging their humanity and recognizing their efforts to provide good service. These small acts of mindful observation helped to shift her perspective and cultivate a sense of gratitude. Furthermore, she began to consciously challenge her knee-jerk criticisms of young people. Instead of automatically rolling her eyes at their loud music or judging their fashion choices, she would actively try to remember what it was like to be young, to feel invincible and full of energy, to have the world stretching out before her with endless possibilities. She would even strike up conversations with them, asking about their interests, their aspirations, and their dreams. Surprisingly, she often found common ground, discovering shared passions and surprising insights. She found herself understanding where they were coming from and developing an appreciation for their youth. Ignoring minor annoyances proved to be the trickiest part of her transformation. The incessant dripping faucet in the bathroom, the constant barking of the dog next door, the neighbor's overgrown lawn that seemed to mock her own tidy yard. They all felt like personal affronts, deliberate attempts to disrupt her peace and order. These little things had a way of burrowing under her skin and poisoning her mood. But Sarah, ever determined, learned to reframe these annoyances, to see them in a new light. The dripping faucet, instead of being a source of irritation, became white noise, a constant reminder of the continuous water cycle and the interconnectedness of nature. The barking dog, rather than being a nuisance, became a sign of a vigilant protector, a furry guardian watching over his territory. The overgrown lawn? Well, that was still a work in progress, a particularly stubborn challenge. But she reminded herself that everyone had their own struggles, their own priorities, and their own limitations. She learned to extend grace and compassion, even to her slightly negligent neighbor. Slowly, subtly, imperceptibly at first, Sarah's world began to change. Her interactions with store clerks became more pleasant, filled with genuine smiles and small acts of kindness. She found herself engaging in meaningful conversations and connecting with people on a deeper level. Her conversations with young people became enlightening and inspiring, broadening her horizons and challenging her assumptions. And even those minor annoyances, the dripping faucet, the barking dog, the overgrown lawn, seemed to fade into the background, no longer capable of disrupting her inner peace. Patience, she discovered, wasn't just a virtue that was praised in old books. It was a superpower, a remarkable ability to transform her experience of the world. And she was finally learning to wield it with grace and effectiveness. 6. Talking down to younger generations. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, back in my day, things were better. But constantly invalidating younger people's experiences only creates distance. Instead of saying, "You kids have it easy," Sarah learned to ask, "What's life like for you these days?" Curiosity fosters connection. Respect builds bridges. 7. Holding on to old grudges. Old wounds can linger, but carrying resentment only poisons the one holding it. Whether it's a sibling feud, a past betrayal, or a misunderstanding long ago, letting go of grudges can free up space for healing and connection. Sarah finally reached out to an old friend she hadn't spoken to in years. The relief and joy she felt afterward reminded her, holding on to anger was never worth it. 8. Ignoring health issues. Avoiding the doctor, skipping medications, pretending nothing is wrong, it's a dangerous game. Taking care of one's health isn't about living forever, it's about making the years we do have as fulfilling as possible. Sarah finally scheduled a long overdue checkup, and catching a health issue early made all the difference in her well-being. 9. Isolating from friends and family. Whether it's due to mobility issues, feeling like a burden, or simply not making the effort, many seniors withdraw from social circles. But connection is vital. Sarah made a promise to herself, one phone call a day, even just to say hello. Over time, those small efforts rebuilt bridges and rekindled relationships. 10. Refusing help. Pride can be a powerful thing, but refusing help when needed can make life unnecessarily difficult. Sarah resisted at first, but once she accepted a neighbor's offer to bring groceries, she realized, help doesn't mean weakness. It means community. 11. Being overly critical. Constantly pointing out what's wrong, whether it's with people, situations, or the world, creates a negative energy that drives others away. Sarah learned to shift her focus. Complimenting instead of criticizing made her home a place people wanted to visit. 12. Losing sense of purpose. Perhaps the saddest thing seniors do as they age is lose their sense of purpose. Without work, raising kids, or past responsibilities, it's easy to feel lost. But purpose isn't just about productivity, it's about meaning. Sarah took up gardening, volunteered at a local center, and started writing letters to her grandchildren. Purpose can be found in the smallest acts of love and creativity. Aging isn't just about growing older, it's about growing wiser. The habits we carry can either isolate us or bring us closer to the people we love. If you see yourself in any of these, don't be discouraged. Recognizing them is the first step to change. Which of these habits surprised you the most? Which do you think is the most common? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Here's to aging with wisdom, joy, and connection.